Hello, Meoni here, and welcome back to another patch note reading, this time for 7.3's preliminary notes that were posted today, the 1st of August 2025. So let's get stuck into this. Obviously, Cosmic Exploration, the new planet, and the tool enhancement quests. Those tools are scheduled for release in 7.31, so they're not in the notes. The Yokhoi Society quest, Deep Dungeon, and Hildebrand isn't until 7.35, so also not in this patch. What is in the patch then? First of all, we've got new MSQ. You might remember these two images from the trailer for 7.3 with Erenville and Wuklamat and Sveen. And basically, there are 10 new quests associated with the MSQ, starting off in the back room, obviously in Solution 9 with Targeted Tragedy. You can imagine in these 10 quests, there will be both the dungeon and also the new trial. So, yes, it's supposed to be a, culmination and a conclusion of the Dawntrail storyline, leading into, obviously, new storyline for 8.0. So that's going to be exciting. We'll see how that is. The new Echoes of Vana'diel Alliance raid, so the Final Fantasy XI Alliance raid, has a few quests here. As you can see, there are 4 quests in total. Starting with Dreams of Paradise, you can pick that up in Tulialal from the Landsguard Messenger. We've got some nice images there. Looking forward to taking part in that. You must have first completed the previous Alliance raid, Juno, so bear that in mind. A new thing is that they've added tutorials to quests with certain objectives. So these pop up the first time, and then you can basically close them and review them by pressing the question mark icon in the duty list or the link in the chat log. But as you can see, an example here of the first time you do a transport mission, you'll get this telling you that you get a transporting status effect. It tells you what you can do and what will end that effect as well. This is incredibly useful for a new player, not so much for a veteran player, but it would have been nice to see this the first time, so it's nice for newcomers to the game. Phoenix Downs have been changed. We'll get to that in a moment, but they do say a Phoenix Down reward has been added to the main scenario quest, Call of the Sea. You can imagine there's going to be a lot more Phoenix Downs given out as rewards because you can now use them in dungeons and things, and you can use them in combat, so it's going to be interesting. They can also stack to 999 if I remember correctly. We'll get to that in a moment. New chapters have been added to New Game Plus, obviously for Dawntrail Part 3, but you must first complete the final quest for each part for it to unlock in New Game Plus, as you would imagine. Fate news then, we've got new stuff that we can exchange bicolor gemstones for from the gemstone trader Kajilja in Tulialal. So if you don't have any bicolor gemstones, you might want to get some. Who knows what this might be, but it's definitely going to make me go out and cap off my bicolor gemstones so we can show the reward. But yeah, it looks like there are new things you can get, at least from Tulialal, with bicolor gemstones, which are the items you get from completing fates. Treasure hunt then. So this is a pretty cool one. For the Gargantuan skin treasure maps, they've been added. So these treasure hunts using these maps are exclusive to Living Memory, while rewards from the treasure chests unearthed using this map are the same as Bruck's skin treasure maps. Only Gargantua skin treasure maps will grant entry to Vault 1 Iron. So if you were thinking, oh, I'll just buy all of the old Bruck skin treasure maps and resell them when the patch comes out for a profit, they won't be useful because it's a brand new map for the portals. So bear that in mind. Rewards for the Loba skin treasure maps and Bruck skin treasure maps have also been adjusted. So you might get some cool stuff on those as well. New items added to the loot pool. And that's because the portals from the Living Memory Gargantua skin treasure maps open a portal to Vault 1 Iron, which is a new treasure map dungeon. It says Vault 1 Iron, a special instance similar to Senate Jaja Gural, is a new type of treasure dungeon accessed after finding and opening treasure coffers obtained from Gargantua skin treasure maps. As you can see, you get 60 minutes, 8 players maximum party size. You got to be level 100 Disciple of War and Magic. And essentially, it says, upon entering the instance, players go find a hypnoslot machine that must be used to perform an invocation. Doing so will cause 3 outrunner screens, as you can see here on this picture, to cycle through images, summoning different creatures to serve as a trial depending on where they stop. There is also a chance the invocation may end with your prompt removal from the vault. And as you can see, this icon here on the screen is a broken heart. You get 3 of those, you get kicked out. There are various other ones, as you can see. So the first one, 1 diamond, summon a lesser notion. 3 diamonds, greater fancy. If you get 3 of these, it's jackpot mode. And then if you get this one, this big pink diamond summons an elder imagining. Broken heart expels players from a vault. And a treasure chest reveals a more grandiose vision. So there's lots of interesting combinations. It's going to be fun. These things spin like a slot machine in a casino. Yeah, can't wait for that. It says leaving the vault, 5 trials are passed, so there's 5 in total, and a duty gets completed, you get expelled. The outrunners stop on spaces that remove the party from a duty, i.e. these broken hearts or diamonds, and all party members get KO'd, then you get kicked out. There's also new rewards in Senate Jaja Gural as well, so bear in mind it isn't just new items for the new dungeon, they've added stuff for the other one as well, which is pretty nice. I'm looking forward to doing that with my friends. So ground and free companies, new stuff then. So it's basically just subaquatic voyages. There's going to be new dive points for those, new items. Obviously, there might be minions and stuff based on rank. You might have to get your submersible to a certain rank. And speaking of which, it's increased to 135 from 130 maximum submersible rank. So gives you a couple of weeks to work on something, maybe make some gil from a new dive points. So talking of housing then, we've got some new items added from a 2022 furnishing design contest. We've got this wonderful sort of how do you describe that? Sort of partition with planters on it, that's, you know, with the gaps. I'm drawing a blank here trying to remember what that's called. We've got a log cabins partition with a door, which is really nice. We got this angled down sort of, you know, modernistic light box. And we've also got this beaver cushion, which is quite cute, actually. I think it's Odorota, isn't it, actually? Kind of looks like a beaver, but it's Odorota, I think, on a cushion. There's also new general furnishings as well, including a workout room sort of stuff. There's a workout mat. There's a bench press. And some, you know, dumbbells. And we've also got different things like I think it looks like a scroll holder sort of cupboard thing, and new partitions with doors on them as well of different kinds. New settees, you know, couches, sofa type things, and then we've got carpets, even more partitions. It looks like there's a different partition door for each style of door that you would want, which is quite nice. And the token tree outside that looks like an orange tree. Comparatively, it's like, yes, there is a tree. So there might be other outdoor furnishings, but they only showed a tree. New orchestrum rolls are in the patch. New aquarium fish are in the patch, including this like swordfish, which looks deadly. New seeds for flower pots are in. These are champa or campa seeds. I think it's campa, right? Can be purchased from the vendors. So this includes Tani, the florist in New Gridania. It does mean that there'll probably be a campa, you know, headpiece as well. They usually make a headpiece out of the flowers. Could be quite nice. New gold saucer stuff. This is the more interesting thing for me, especially since I'm capped on MGP. Looks like there's some new t-shirts or gear. I think this is generic trousers. The t-shirts are awesome though. Look at that. We've got a chocobo, little simple icon on a blue t-shirt there. We've got a cactuar running away from a gold saucer with stars on this t-shirt. And we've got this. I think this is going to be super popular with my girlfriend. We've got the same design that was on that jacket, like the Kupo jacket, with the hip Moogle, with his gold chain and his flat hat cap backwards, snapback cap. I don't know how you describe that. Looks pretty cool. You'll be able to get those. Who knows what else is from MGP. I'm looking forward to going and spending some. Obviously, Triple Triad, there's new cards. There'll probably be a lot of new NPCs to do with Juno, specifically, because that's the main hub for the Alliance Raid. Since there's a new Alliance Raid conclusion, there'll probably be new NPCs added there for new cards for those, and new NPC opponents. Yeah, so new cards, new NPCs. Doman Mahjong gets Wuklamat, Kona, and Bakul Jar Jar as voice, if you want. You first need to complete the quest that unlocks Mahjong, as well as Heavensward. You speak to Debordier in the Gold Saucer. You can exchange MGP for items that unlock these designated characters' voices. The voices added in 7.3 will become available by progressing the main story. So another prerequisite, as well as unlocking it and doing Heavensward, is to finish 7.3, and then you'll have access to Wuklamat, Kona, and Bakul Jar Jar if you want those, of course. The layout of the Mahjong tab in the Gold Saucer menu has been adjusted, so some UI changes. So we're on to the Miscellaneous section. Duty support has been added to Cutter's Cry, the Meso terminal, and the new trial. So if you remember back with Heidelin, you could use the duty support characters, right? The trust system to actually complete that, which means I think that the new trial, on normal mode at least, you'll be able to use the scions. Well, your characters, I guess. Wuklamat's not a scion, so she doesn't count. That's pretty cool, isn't it? So Cutter's Cry, Meso Terminal, and Necron ? Who knows? The following additions and adjustments made to Wondrous Tales. So there are new items you can get with silver certificates. That always happens with these updates. Brack skin maps will be replaced with Time-worn Gargantua skin maps, available as a reward for completing 9 duties in Wondrous Tales. So they've updated the maps to the portal maps, which is even more reason to do your Wondrous Tales, obviously. And the duties have been added to Wondrous Tales for the Meso Terminal, Cruiserweight M1 or M2, Cruiserweight M3 or M4, and Vault 1 Iron as well, which is a new treasure map dungeon. And the following raids have been grouped together into the raid series category. So instead of Asphodelos 1st, 2nd, 3rd, or 4th, it's now Asphodelos 1st to 4th circles. So that's nice and easy as just one block on Wondrous Tales to go and complete something in Asphodelos. There's actually a really nice thing here. It says Wondrous Tales now features a list of applicable duties for each objective. So it says a new subcommand, open duty or category is now available when moving your cursor over objectives. So basically you can subcommand on a block on the Wondrous Tales, and it will tell you exactly what is applicable. So instead of you going and doing something and going, oh yeah, of course that wouldn't work, you can just click on it and it will give you a list of everything in a game that is applicable to that slot. That's a really nice quality of life feature, because I can't tell you how many times I've just kind of auto-zombied my way through things and gone, oh yeah, I need to do a low-level dungeon, and then I accidentally queued for a trial or something. I don't know. This is helpful, at least to me and my aging brain. The following additions and adjustments have been made to the Faux Hollows. So, of course, now we have the Wreath of Snakes Unreal, which is accessible as soon as the patch comes out if you've already got Unreal mode unlocked. If you haven't, you'll need to go to the fantastic Mr. Faux NPC over in Idleshire to actually unlock this. This is the new mount then from Faux Leaves, which will also be market tradable. It is a little baby Ronique, or at least it looks quite small. Very cute. Got a paint on it. Tribal Ronique. What's not to love? A new mount. Very cool. Which does mean that the other mounts that were shown in the live letter could be from anywhere else. Very exciting. Hopefully some treasure map dungeon drops. The duties that can be recorded. I mean, Duty Recorder, it's one of those things that, yeah, they keep updating it, but it's so useless. Like, oh, we can now record our footage in Savage M1 and M2 of Cruiserweight, but it's, it's 7.3. Most people have cleared that stuff, or this isn't that useful. I don't know, man. Now you can do Everkeep, Juno, and Cruiserweight, M1 and M2 Savage on Recorder. They need to put the Duty Recorder system in everything, or make it accessible elsewhere. It's such a good system that's underutilized. A maximum length button has been added to the Granaries window in Island Sanctuary, setting the maximum number of days for 2 exploration areas, which is pretty cool. Actually, that's nice. So we're getting Island Sanctuary changes, by the way. We'll come to that in a moment. There are new hairstyles for Viera. I don't know if there is a difference between these two hairs. Interesting. Very nice. So you've got some new hair for your Viera if you're interested. They also show off Hrothgar hairs. We've got 2 very different hairstyles here. So they're updating Viera and Hrothgar, like we say. There should be a lot more hats as well. We'll come to that. This is the big one, though, that affects normal every other race in the game. It isn't applicable to everything, but you'll see that they've added fringe wear. So you get your fringe from your hairstyle if you're wearing certain HUDs. So like the Warrior of Light before kind of looked like Ken from Barbie, but now you can actually see the hair over the eyes and over the nose where it's supposed to be. And same with this Mikote as well. Really nice little graphical changes make the biggest impact on how your character looks in screenshots and stuff. Because that, compared to that, I mean, it's yeah, you'd obviously choose this. You know, this is Warrior of Light, and then this is Cooler Warrior of Light, basically. Very nice changes. A large number of headgear items will now display when worn by Viera and Hrothgar. Can we get the fireworks out? Do I need to get, you know, do I have to climb on top of my roof and shout, hooray, huzzah, you know, hallelujah at this point? It's been a long time coming. This doesn't say that every hairstyle, every headpiece will work, obviously, right? But a large number. So we're going to have to test what that large number is. If you remember, I did a video a while ago where I listed every single headpiece. I went through the game and tried to find every single headpiece that could work on a Viera, and it's like 50% of the game's items work on a Viera, like probably less than 50%. So it'll be interesting to see if they do at least another 20-30% of them, because there are some striking examples of gear that does not get used, and it's irritating. So I'm happy for you guys that play Viera and Hrothgar, and hopefully you don't get screwed over. We'll see. Certain headgear items now allow Viera to toggle the display of their ears. So this is an interesting one as well. You can select the Adjust Headgear Settings button below your character preview in the character or fitting room windows. Then ensure the option Show Ears Through Headgear Select Gear Only is checked. The option Adjust Headgear Settings is only available when playing as Viera. Otherwise, it will appear as Manually Adjust Visor. So, yeah, Viera-specific buttons, and as you can see, Show Ears Through Headgear, Manually Adjust Visor. So you can still do your visor commands. It's just you've got a sub-command on the command. It would have been nice if there was like an actual physical button extra on the UI, but I guess they wanted to consolidate it. But at least you can change it. So if you want to fold your ears in, instead of this clipping through, you can have your ears underneath the hood, so to speak, or turn them off. Different people like different solutions, so I suppose that's a good option for both, but at least you can wear them, right? That's the big bit. When using the clarinet performance actions, the delay between pressing keys and music playing has been reduced. This is something I noticed with some of the instruments, actually, in performance mode for Bard. There is a bit of a delay, and specifically, I think clarinet was the worst. So that's finally been addressed after however many years it's been in. The following additions and adjustments have been made to emotes. So we've got new emotes. This is the /pen emote. On the systems section of the patch notes, it tells you. And I really hope this is a looped emote. If it's not a looped emote, it will be a massive, massive shame. Or at least they could add a looped version in the future. But taking notes is something that we've seen NPCs do since, 2.0 at least. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that emote. Additionally, the following emotes can be used while sitting on the ground. So you can hug on the ground, you can wow on the ground, clutch head, hand over, breakfast, eat apple, eat egg, eat chocolate, drink tea, blow bubbles, capture your visage, photograph, read, eat chicken, pumpkin cookies, pizza, rice ball. You can use your tombstone, headache, facepalm, embrace, and determined. That's really cool. A lot of these make a lot of sense, so yeah, why not? The motion for the following emotes has been adjusted while sitting on the ground. This includes converse, think, and insist. Only your character's upper body will move. Yeah, so they've got a little bit more animation tightening to make it look a little bit better. I love that. It's especially useful for making videos, and I imagine it's especially useful for RP and pictures, GPOs, which is a big community. Let's move on to the battle system then. It says the descriptions of certain actions and status effects have been adjusted, but no changes have been made to their effects at this point. The following additions and adjustments have been made to Phoenix Downs. So here's the big one then for Phoenix Downs. You can now use these on players outside of your party. That's cool. You can now use them in combat while undertaking certain types of duties. This includes any instanced 4-player dungeons. We've got guild leaves, 4-player trials, treasure map dungeons, deep dungeons, field operations such as Eureka, and variant dungeons, and that's where you can use them now. Any duty with restrictions of Phoenix Downs will now display that information in their duty finder description. It says this restriction does not apply to the Guild Leave, Solemn Trinity, and the Trial of the Great Hunt Extreme. There we go. So a little bit of clarification on Rathalos. The range on a Phoenix Down's been extended from 5 to 15 yards. The cast time's been increased from 5 to 8 seconds. And now has a recast timer of 360 seconds. This is a lot bigger than it used to be. This is to prevent you from spamming them and corpsing your way through dungeons endlessly, if that was a thing. It says, shares a recast time with other medicine items. They can be stacked up to 999, because previously you could only have one in your inventory. And you can also purchase them from vendors. We're not listing all of those out, but as you can see, in a lot of places you can get those. And it says an active help menu will now appear when obtaining a Phoenix Down for the first time, telling you this information. Good change. Honestly, Phoenix Downs were redundant, and they might actually be incredibly useful now, especially in deep dungeons, right? Having 999 is going to save a run. A progress bar can now be displayed under the nameplate of certain enemies. This, I believe, is on by default, they said on the live letter. It's pretty useful. Essentially, instead of you having to look at the focus target and your aggro meter, your enmity list, for cast bars, you can just look underneath the NPC that you're attacking, and you'll see what their ability is that they're casting. Very useful, especially for interruptibles, things like that, if you're not looking. If you're focusing on one target, sometimes there are multiple target bosses, as they've shown here. And yeah, really useful. It says to adjust the display of enemy progress bars, check or uncheck the display progress bar button under the general tab of display name settings on a character config. It is enabled by default. It says while this setting currently applies only to bosses and powerful foes in instance content, we are considering its extension to those in public areas such as large-scale fates. I think that's an obvious thing to do next. Yeah, I think they should. It's quite useful. It's one of those things that you don't think about, and then you're like, oh yeah, that, you know, a month's going to go by and we're just going to be looking at the actual monsters now for the cast bars. And yeah, it's going to change things, isn't it, in a nice way. Meso Terminal, new dungeon's been added. You need to be 720 average item level or above, level 100. You get 90 minutes with 4 players to actually do this. The requirements are obviously hidden. The new trial, hidden, but you need to be 725 for that trial at level 100. Again, hidden. The extreme is 740 average item level, and you have to speak to the Wandering Minstrel once you've finished the normal mode, I presume, and there'll be an item exchange as well. So totem exchange, presumably for weapons, ? The Reef of Snakes Unreal then should just automatically be unlocked for you. Obviously, Hell's Cure has been no longer accessible after this patch, so Reef of Snakes is a new one, and you'll be able to get your Faux Hollows minigame worked up on that for the new reward, the Ronique mount. And yeah, you'll be able to go in there at 690 average item level and above with 8 players. If you've never done this before, go to Fantastic Mr. Faux Quest in Idleshire from the Painfully Ishgardian Man. We've had this before, but you've automatically got this unlocked if you've done an Unreal before in the past. The drop rate for Wings of Eternity in the Sphene's Burden Extreme has been increased. You can also exchange 99 Totem Eternals for the Wings of Eternity, which is cool, so you can go and exchange your totems if you've got 99. The weekly restriction on rewards from Arcadian Cruiserweight Division has been removed. This does not apply to the Cruiser Holosaber, however, on AAC Cruiserweight M4. So bear that in mind for the weapon. The number of Cruiser Holosabers required, however, to exchange for a Universal Tombstone 2.0 has been reduced from 7 to 4. So it's easier to get your weapon, but you still have your weekly restriction on getting the actual Holosaber that you need, which you need 4 of now, instead of 7. Sandoria then, the new Alliance raids in, 725 average item level, with a party size of 8, or an alliance of 24 queuing in, or solo queue, or 4 players, or whatever. Dreams of Paradise is the quest in Tulialal, as we mentioned, and yeah, it's just normal rewards. You will get your weekly restricted rewards as well from this. It says, upon completing Sandoria, players who can also earn a separate reward once per week, which is 2 cracked Nova clusters and 1 Montois coin. The Montois coin can be exchanged with Urshepa in Solution 9 for items used to enhance equipment purchased with Tomestones of Mathematics. So there's your next upgrade coin. And then when the final version comes out later in a subsequent patch, you'll be able to do your weapon as well. Orchestrion rolls. Tattered second movement score can be found in each party's treasure coffer that appears after each boss. These scores found in treasure chests in Sandoria can be exchanged at the Peculiar Goblin in Lower Juno for special orchestrion rolls relating to Echoes of Vanadil. So if you want some more FF11 music, they've upped the amount of them, made them accessible to each party, Alliance party, and you'll be able to exchange for those. Very cool. Players will no longer get Nova clusters for completing Juno, the first walk. We've got Occult Crescent changes. Okay, so this is to do with the Alliance stuff. So when entering with an alliance of 24 players or more, you will always enter a new instance, so it automatically generates one. This newly created instance will be considered occupied, preventing entry by players that are not part of that alliance party. If an alliance meets the entry requirements for Forked Tower, the Auroral Mirage weather effect will begin 5 minutes after entering the Occult Crescent. Once the alliance completes entry into the tower, or 10 minutes have passed, the weather will clear and the instance will no longer be considered occupied. If an alliance fails to meet the entry requirements for Forked Tower, the instance will no longer be considered occupied 5 minutes after entering the Occult Crescent. This then is to give people who want to actually do this content with pre-made groups less headaches with random people stealing, access to the dungeon and, messing up their runs, that kind of thing. It's a solution to a problem that shouldn't have existed. I think we can all agree, but it's a solution. The minimum number of players that must offer Sanguine Ciphers to enter the Forked Tower Blood have been increased from 16 to 24 players. Okay, and the window displayed when using Sanguine Ciphers has been updated to show detailed information on the number of players who have secured entry and those yet seeking entry. So as you can see here, it tells you what it is. Confirm your offering of Sanguine Ciphers. It says a maximum of 48 players can be teleported. Priority will be given to greater offerings if participation exceeds the transportational abilities. That's a mouthful. And as you can see, there's you've offered 2. The offering threshold is 2. Your passage to the tower is not guaranteed. And then you can change this to make it guaranteed. And the remaining places. So this is a nice UI to sort of, party find this essentially with your group, making sure everyone's actually contributing. Only players who have used the Sanguine Cipher will be now eligible for selection to enter the Forked Tower. When a critical encounter is in progress, the appearance of the Auroral Mirage weather effect will be put on hold. If its occurrence has been deferred, it will begin immediately after that encounter's ended, so bear that in mind. During a critical encounter Calamity Bound, the Seal Asunder mechanic will function differently with a lower number of participants. So they have changed and scaled Calamity Bound. If you don't know, for the Forked Tower, for the actual critical encounter and the quest line, it's required in the south of the zone. So they've sort of scaled that back a bit. The items obtained from treasure coffers revealed by persistent pots and Happy's bunnies have been changed. I think they're now guaranteed to get silver and gold pieces as well, aren't they? Something like that. So they should be better. In preparation for the introduction of Pilgrim's Traverse in 7.35 in the future, the spawn locations of S ranks and A ranks in Ilmeg have also been moved around and adjusted. The items required to enhance equipment purchased with Tomestones of Mathematics, the Evercharged Twine and Evercharged Esther, can be purchased from the following vendors. You can use your Ordel coins and Montois coins at Urshepia, and those Montois coins are from Sandoria, or, of course, your sacks of nuts. And you can upgrade your stuff, as you usually can. Players can no longer join duties in progress if they have never cleared one or more of the duties they've registered for, which is interesting. This change was implemented to help ensure players can fully enjoy duties they are experiencing for the first time. When registering for a duty roulette that includes duties you have yet to complete, you will no longer be matched in progress instances for any duties in that roulette. I mean, this is kind of, I'm surprised it wasn't this way to begin with. The fact that you could queue in progress without actually ever doing the duty is bizarre to me. I suppose it was quicker in some way, but at least this way you are kind of guaranteeing you having a more, I don't know, relaxed experience. People will still insta-pull and stuff, won't they? Depending on the etiquette of the people in there. Some people are absolute potatoes and don't even look at people. But every time I go into a duty, I see a sprout icon. I let them kind of be the guide. And if you see somebody in a cutscene, do not pull a boss. I don't know why this needs to be said. Let them have the experience that you used to have. Jeez. The following duties have been added to Raid Finder. This includes the new Trial and the Reef of Snakes Unreal. The Duty Recollection Extreme has been moved from a Raid Finder to Duty Finder. Players will now receive the power of the Echo in the event all members are incapacitated during Recollection and Recollection Extreme. The strength for the Echo in AAC Light Heavyweight tier Savages have been increased up to 20% Echo, holy moly. And Duty Ruler Experts obviously been changed to Underkeep and Meso Terminal now instead of Yuya Iwata and Underkeep. 720 item level for that roulette has been upped from 705. And yeah, we've, as you can imagine, Duty Roulette level cap dungeons. We've got Yuya Iwata field stations added. It's now up to 690 average item level. The new trials have been added to Duty Roulette Trial. And Duty Roulette Mentor has the new stuff as well. The new Trial, Sandoria and Meso Terminal, as well as 725 for Mentor Roulette up to. There's also an extreme version of the Trial added to Stone Sky Sea if you want to test your metal against that in the outskirts, right, of Solution 9 in Heritage Found. The following adjustments have been made to the Incidents Dungeon Cutter's Cry. So the shifting sands that allow players to progress through the dungeon will now appear after defeating a certain number of enemies. So that's different instead of specific enemies, right? The Miradon Princess boss battle's been adjusted, so has Giant Tunnel Worm, and so has Chimera. Now, bear in mind, it'll be interesting to see what changes they have done. It might be worth getting footage. I might go get footage of how it is now and do a comparison video, because a lot of the time they kind of simplify mechanics so that the NPCs can have an easier time. Cutter's Cry is one of those ones where you just teleport endlessly through a dungeon and it just feels like it takes forever. So it'll be interesting to see how much has changed. But yeah, so PvP then, this previous PvP series rewards will be made available for exchange with trophy crystals. We've also got some gear here, obviously, being shown that was in previously this gear was only shown in concept imagery, but we have some trophy crystal gear here as well. And then this is the new, I think this is the new ranked or level 25 series reward, which I cannot stand. I actually really do not like that at all, but I'll get it because it's another thing to do. But I'm really not a fan of those outfits. You might be, though. Hopefully you're the target audience for those. Series 9 will be held from 7.3 until the release of 7.4, during which time you can earn Series EXP and increase your series level by participating in any PvP. Rewards from Series 8 can only be claimed until the end of Series 9, so make sure you go to your Milestones window to collect those. And yeah, if you're still working on the Series 8 stuff, you really don't have much longer to do that. There won't be 24-hour maintenance with this patch, apparently, so you should have a bit of extra time, but good luck, and I hope you get your slash amount. The Crystalline Conflict new map then, Bayside Battleground's been added. They say there's not really many gimmicks to this. Yoshi P said on a live letter, we got jump glyphs to jump between certain areas, as you can see from here to there. And stepping on a jump glyph will transport you. Yep. With the addition of Bayside Battleground, the following adjustments have been made to arena rotations for the casual and ranked matches. So now available arenas will rotate every 90 minutes Earth time. And obviously there is Bayside Battleground just after Clockwork Castle Town and just before Cloud 9. Okay, so we'll probably never see it. I know, it's the Red Sands I never see, right? It's the Red Sands I never see. There's also a new timer mechanic for spawn of medical kits, so you can easily identify when the next medical kit in Crystalline Conflict will spawn. It's a clock. When the clock is full, it spawns. We have Players under the effect of hysteria or seduce can no longer utilize the arena events. So jump glyphs, trick doors, shifting sands, and jump glyphs, you can no longer use those if you've got hysteria or seduce. So that's a tactic, and people were getting away from people who were, inflicted by this before. You can no longer escape through those doors. So bear that in mind. Players can now register to join casual matches with a party of 2 players. This is not available in ranked, only for casual. So if you and your mate want to go and queue in together, you totally can now. Very cool. 2 new tiers of ranked then, Omega and Ultima, have been added. These are above Crystal tier. They require a sufficient Crystal credit score for promotion, and this differs by region, as you can see there, with the greatest requirement for the Japanese data center, America sort of second highest, and Oceanic is the lowest, obviously, because of based on population. Players who reach Omega and Ultima tiers by the end of the season will receive a Framers kit and an achievement. So, yeah, if you're going for the 2 new ranks, good luck, honestly. Season 15 will end and Season 16 begins, which is obviously your new ranked stuff. And where it's taking place is Japan. It will be on Elemental Data Center. North America, it will be on Dynamis, funnily enough. Europe, it will be on Chaos, my home, and Oceanic, obviously, Materia. So there you go. That's where you'll have to travel to if you're not already there to do your ranked. So let's move on to items. These then are the new Alliance Raid sets. There are better images on the internet, actually, of this. We've got a backwards and a forwards view of the gear sets. They look great. If you've played Final Fantasy XI, you might remember some of these sets. And I was wrong before. I was kind of hoping that a caster gear would be Precious set, but it's obviously Monk there. It's obviously striking, unfortunately. So you guys get the best. That'll be obviously physical ranged, I'm guessing. And then healer and caster. So, yeah. Items added in 7.3 will be added in a future update of this. We've also got new recipes. So this is confirmed to be a recipe. It's likely we'll have to do the treasure map dungeon for the bits to craft this, right? So we've got this beautiful dress, as well as this new tuxedo, pants, shoes, that kind of thing. The dress is very nice. A lot of people are comparing it to other dresses in the game. It's got a nice bow on it and these ruffles around the arms. Yeah, I think that's pretty cool. I want that on my character. That'd be nice. The following item names have been changed. So instead of tattered sheet music from the Vanadil stuff, it's tattered first movement score. Big Bang tickets are now Big Bang tickets. Sinus Adorum. So, there's different Big Bang tickets. Which is annoying, actually, because I collected a ton of them. And now I've just realized that I won't be able to use them for the new rewards. I knew they were going to do it, but I kind of hoped they weren't. Blank Riviera partition is Highland partition. Riviera partition is Highland partition door. So there we go, just some changes in names. Certain items can now be sold desync or submitted for expert delivery. And then there's a big one, which there's no way I'm reading this out. You'll just have to look at it. The following items now have 2 die channels. So we've got everything from relic weapons here. Look at this. We got all of the Eureka stuff, all the Hydatus finished weapons, Pyrus weapons, elemental weapons. We got the replica versions of those. We got the Republican stuff, so the old PvP stuff. All the gear, actually. Look, the Republican Medicus Laurel Reef, for example. So that's PvP, the late Allegan sets. The nice, you remember the striking one that makes you look like a cyborg ninja? That outfit, the late Allegan stuff. The new model A1, B1, C1 gear. Archfiend, False Monarchy, Fierce Tyrants, Hellhound, a Greyhound. And then we got stuff like the Glade Tunic, Wind Silk Coatee, all that stuff. High House Boots. So all of these items on this enormous list, they have gone and added 2 die channels to. Holy moly, that's awesome. I know they were going to slowly do this, but what an injection of new stuff. Even better, though, we can now equip these items regardless of gender. So this includes the Far Eastern Gentleman's Hat, Gentleman's Trousers, the Far Eastern Beauty's Hairpin and Beauty's Skirt, which is kind of huge because those are really nice pieces. The Far Eastern Gentleman's Robe and Gentleman's Boots, Far Eastern Beauty Robe and Beauty's boots as well. I think the Far Eastern Gentleman's stuff, by the way, they changed the name of the Mungake attire at some point to Gentleman's. I think that's what that actually is. I think that's what that is, if you were confused like me. The confirmation prompt displayed when dispelling glamours now also indicates that dyes and company crests will be removed. That's good to have a pop-up. When using the gamepad in the Glamour Dresser window, cancelling from the Glamour Creation window will now return a cursor to the Glamour Dresser window. Nice quality of life change. A button to filter your current class or job has been added next to the drop-down filter of shop windows. That's also useful, increases the amount of decreases the amount of time needed per window, which is always good. And the following additions and adjustments have been made to dream fitting. So if you don't know what dream fitting is, you go to an in-room, you go to a bed, and then you can preview cash shop items, essentially, without buying them on your character. It's an in-game preview thing that a lot of people forget exists. These changes address an issue wherein selecting a gear set to preview would expand the list of its individual pieces, shifting the item order and making it difficult to select the next set. So we've got mouse controls. Clicking an attire set will now only display a preview of the selected set. Clicking it a second time or clicking the plus sign next to the attire set will display a list of gear pieces together with the previews. And you can also do the same on gamepad with triangle or the Y button as well. So nice little changes there. Don't forget you can preview gear before spending money. Supplementary text explaining search results is now displayed at the bottom of the item search window. In accordance with this change, the log message notifying players when the search results are not up to date will no longer be displayed. So we've got new items added to gathering points. The time-worn Lobo skin maps and Brak skin maps can now be obtained from certain botanist gathering points in Heritage Found, although the Heritage Found gathering points themselves haven't been changed. There are new fish from fishing holes, and you can also upgrade your crafted level 740 gear if you've got it to 750 through exchange. This requires Everkeep certificate of grade 2 import Immortal Rain. If you know about this, then you know about this, but you can upgrade it by 10 item levels if you wish to. And it's the same process as before. The level cap for D-Simps up to 750 from 740. And then we've got cosmic exploration changes. These are pretty good. The option to travel to directly Sinus Adorum has been added just to the Aetheryte in Best Ways. So instead of teleporting to Best Ways Burrows on the moon and then having to walk to the NPC, the Leporite, to get in, you can just use the Aetheryte and go straight in, which is pretty nice. In future updates, they say this option will be updated for travel to the newest star available for exploration as well. Mounts are now summonable in the moon area. They cannot fly, but they can be used. That's very nice because it takes so long to get between areas or between nodes. Mounting should have been there from the beginning, in my opinion. Thankfully, as well, due to popular demand, there's a summoning bell, so you can access your retainers in the main camp on the moon. Very cool. And new items are available in exchange for Cosmo credit. New items have been added for exchange, including Cosmic Exploration Ethernet tickets, as well as items tradable for existing Crafter and Gatherer scripts. Using the Cosmic Exploration Ethernet tickets will transport you to Driving Way in Mare Lamentorum. So you've got some new Aetheryte tickets, specifically for this, that you can spend your unwanted Cosmo credits on, which might be a good idea, honestly. Quicker travel around the world's always nice. It says the notation indicating difficulty of Class A missions has been adjusted. So instead of having A1, A2, and A3, now we have Non, EX, and EX+. There we go, that's what they're calling them. The time allowed for stellar missions has been increased. This change, however, does not apply to EX Plus stellar missions, except those that can be accepted by multiple classes. So they've nerfed the rest, but not the hardest ones. The sound effects played when starting and completing stellar missions have been changed. Don't know what that means. Maybe they're a bit quieter. I quite like them personally. When completing a stellar mission, the amount of EXP gained for bronze and silver ratings has been increased, such that all rating tiers now grant the same amount of EXP. That's good. When completing missions that can be accepted by multiple classes, each class will earn points towards their cosmic class score. Thank goodness. It is so irritating having like a subsequent mission where you do like mining and then you do, I don't know, your weaver, and then you're only getting it for the miner or something. It's so frustrating. So both things used will get points. That is good. Players can now confirm the relative distance to the site of stellar missions via the window itself. So we've got 3 different icons. We got a red one, which means it's very far away, a yellow one, which means it's far, and a blue one nearby. So if you're lazy and you can't be bothered to look at the map, you can just go, I'm just going to do the Northwestern Vicinity Survey over and over again, which is totally not what I did to level mine up. When undertaking stellar missions, the objective and gold star rating requirements will now always be displayed. Items that will be graded for stellar missions will list score prerequisites in their description, which is pretty cool. As you can see here, scored value, normal quality, 50 points on that lunar meteorite. That's nice. A notification marker indicating the availability of provisional missions will now appear on the stellar missions window. That's especially useful because the timed missions, I am awful. I'm awful at looking at the menus and remembering, because once you get into the zone, man, you just keep gathering or you keep crafting. You don't look at a menu deliberately. So that's a nice icon. And there's also notifications now displayed when sequential missions become available, which is absolutely awesome. Nice pop-ups. The time limit for accepting sequential missions after they appear has also been removed. In accordance with this change, the clock icon indicating a time limit will no longer display in the list of accepted missions. Okay. When a red alert has been issued, the time remaining to accept critical missions will be displayed in the stellar missions window as well. Oh, that's pretty good. That is pretty good, actually. So with some more information, when both the red alert progress gauges are filled, periodic announcements will indicate that the alert is nearly resolved. The mission in progress window will automatically display when reporting is the only remaining step to completing a mission. That's good. The mission log will now indicate when further exploration is required to trigger a mission. Upon completing gathering stellar missions, you'll recover GP equal to the total amount spent during the mission. Holy moly. This is probably the best thing ever. Upon completing gathering stellar missions, the recast timer of GP recovery items such as cordials will also be reset. So you know how we were like, the big problem with gathering compared to crafting is when you craft, you get your CP back after each craft, even if you fail. Whereas with gathering, you don't, and you could fail a mission and you're like, well, I guess or you could complete a mission and you sit there for like, a minute waiting for either your potion or for it to recover. Oh, less downtime means that gathering is less problematic. That's good. When stellar missions for botanists and miners are graded based on successive gathering chains or gatherers' boons, the evaluation criteria and scores will now be displayed in the chat log. Okay, that's nice. When stellar missions for fishers are graded based on collectability, collect must be activated to begin fishing. Okay, that's good. So it prevents you. The time limit for the Mech Ops directive, destroy the corrupted crystals and clear toxic lunar spongoi, has been increased from 5 to 10 minutes. Okay. That's surprising. I suppose you get more time doing it because it does go pretty quickly. The amount by which the ground support contributes to the progress gauge during those mech ops has also been increased. Okay. When undertaking the mech op, destroy the crystals, the special action carrot gun will automatically target the nearest enemy if none is selected. In accordance with this change, the options to enable or disable auto-targeting for special actions have been removed. So it'll just auto-target, basically. The special action full throttle, available in Directive Clear the Toxic Lunar Spongoi, no longer has a cast time. Wow. When a project has been completed and progress advances to the next stage, announcement will be displayed at the top of the screen if no new project is underway. So you know where you are, basically, in the actual in your world's progress. That's especially useful for the next one, isn't it? For the next planet. A notification window will now automatically appear if there have been any progress in ongoing projects since your last visit to Cosmic Exploration Area. That's nice. It's like a recap. The requirements for certain stellar successes have also been changed. Players who already meet the new requirements will earn stellar successes after completing any stellar mission. This change does not affect players who have already met the previous requirements for these stellar successes. So, as you can see, there's a big window full of all of those and how they've changed. Just one example, unlock Class A stellar missions for Alchemists on the Moon. Now is achieve a gold star rank on 3 unique Class B missions for Alchemists. So things have changed, things have been nerfed, things have been made easier, but not the hardest difficulty stuff. And the design of a Cosmic Exploration Info UI has also been changed as well. New mounts have been added. They showed the Yan mount, which we want to know where it's from, because it's not from the Faux Hollows minigame. So Dungeon Drop? I don't know. Trial? I don't know where that could be from. Excited for it. Maybe Treasure Map Dungeon? I'm hoping. Mounting animations have also been added when boarding mounts. Motions do not apply to certain mounts. So there's going to be new animations of your character getting onto mounts. So presumably this means stuff like chocobos. Maybe you do actually like yeet yourself up as opposed to it just appearing. I'm curious. We'll have to test that one. New chocobo bardings in the patch. We've got new minions, including this little flappy flap boy, the stingray. And we've also got one of the coolest things. New fashion accessory is a torch. How cool is that as an idea? I of all of the ideas I've thought of, I haven't thought about holding a torch as a fashion accessory. This is pretty cool. I can imagine a lot of people RPing with this, and I can imagine some Lalafels burning people deliberately in the crotch with this by standing near them. So we'll see. Two sides of every coin. But it's cool, isn't it? New faceware's been added, so stuff that was previously headwear, like the visor here demonstrated. These glasses that are quite nice as well. We've got new faceware, so presumably from vendors as well. System changes then. Graphical update. So the graphical adjustments have been made to player character models based on feedback from a community. You can actually click a hyperlink. Of course, the patch notes will be linked in the description if you're interested. In conjunction with these adjustments, players can obtain a file of Fantasia from the Wandering Moogle in Old Gridania for a limited period of time, available until 7.4. Bear in mind, just before the patch for 7.3, you can go, if you haven't already, to Old Gridania, to that Moogle to get a Fantasia, and then when 7.3 comes out, you can get another one. So yeah, the ongoing character changes. Based on that, they're giving you Fantasias. You might as well make the most of it. This is another one of those. I am not reading all of this, but we are certainly going to highlight some bits. Graphical details for the following gear has been improved. So you remember how we did a video before showing a before and after for some relic weapons and gear, and it looked incredible? Well, they've done it again. Now we've got stuff like Lightbringer upgraded. We got a Mandeville weapons upgraded in terms of visual fidelity, texture quality. We've got the replicas of there. What else have we got here? The Reapers, chapeau, all sorts of gear here. Diadex gloves, so artifact gear, relic weapons. That's a lot of stuff that's been upgraded once again. We might find time to look at a video on that, but I won't be able to do it before and after, I don't think. That's a lot of items. Holy moly. But cool, though. Nice to see. So moving on to system then, chat bubbles have been implemented and allowing messages to be displayed above characters' heads. You can toggle this on in the chat bubble settings, in the character config menu, in the log section. Chat bubbles are disabled by default, so you won't see this walking around. They will not display when using performance actions during battle or during PvP. Those are deliberate choices to prevent people having to either exploit them or make use of them in other ways. So yeah, when multiple chat bubbles overlap, the most recent message will appear in the foreground, and you can change the settings for this. On the live letter, they showed this maximum display count of bubbles, how it works in 2 rows of 1, the size of the bubbles. You can also change specific chats to be disabled from bubbles or enabled as well. Character limits, they say chat bubbles have a fixed width and character limit. Messages that exceed this limit will be truncated with a trailing ellipsis, so ... The chat bubble format can now be set to 1 or 2 lines. Messages consisting solely of a single word or phrase from the auto-translation dictionary will always appear in full on a single line. So very cool. Chat bubble appearance then. You can change the size of them, normal, larger, maximum. This does not change how... so it does not affect message character limits. Different chat modes such as say, yell, and shout have unique chat bubble designs, each with their own settings for text and background color, so you can change it. If you wanted to change the blue to something else, you could, but you can't change the actual design of the bubble because they have specific icons. Chat bubbles from players who are blacklisted or muted will be hidden, with only a few exceptions. Furthermore, words blocked by the profanity filter will just display as question mark, question mark, question mark. So bear that in mind as well. The display range for players and monsters then has been increased in the following areas. You can choose between normal, extended, and maximum display ranges. They showed this on the live letter. Very impressive. The default is normal, matching the range used prior to patch 7.3. The distance can be adjusted under other settings in the system config menu, but is Windows only, so Oslot, PC players. This applies to public areas, such as cities, fields, housing areas, the Firmament of Ishgard, Gold Saucer, Cosmic Exploration, Occult Crescent, and instanced events. Certain areas are not affected, so this is something that's ongoing. It's pretty cool, actually, where you get to see very far into the distance with the monsters. It doesn't affect the amount of monsters shown on screen, but it affects like how far you can see them. So if you're looking for a hunt mark, for example, in an area, it's pretty useful. In order to prevent server congestion, we'll be implementing new multiple field instances for Shaloni, Heritage Found, Living Memory, and Lower Juno, with ongoing monitoring. And Tulialal and Yaktel had previous multiple instances. They will be removed from their introduction in 7.25. So what else we got? New achievements and titles have been added. Certain duties and trials will now count towards the completion of achievements. Following the release of 7.3, Hell's Key Unreal will no longer be counted. So, of course, towards your tank achievements, yada, 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 the new duties. The following adjustments have been made to retainers. There are new retainer exploration ventures been added, so probably new minions and stuff. New items can be obtained from those quick exploration ventures. There are new portrait accents, new accents and posers, which is always nice to see, and a new adventurer plate that definitely doesn't look like Island Sanctuary, does it? That's absolutely gorgeous, and it does mean I'm going to have to go and make sure I've got some Seafarer carries, because I spent them all on on potions for gathering. So, I quite like that. Look at that border. Very nice. Also, G-Pose, they've added Perfect Groove as a sticker on there. And we've also got some other stickers and other effects as well. Neon effects. Looking pretty cool. Do like the G-Pose stickers. Chromatic aberrations here if you want everything to be horrible, blurry, and oversaturated in color. Yeah, not my favorite mode in video games, but if you want that effect, it's there for pictures and things. A filter intensity slide has been added. So selecting a color filter, after selecting it, you can adjust its intensity with values ranging from 0 to 100, as you can see. So there's filter intensities there, as opposed to just going, I want it bright. Now you can change how bright it is. Very useful, and it's something that I completely didn't understand on the live letter of what they were trying to explain through the translation. But having a slider for each filter, very useful. Portrait mode's been added. Effectively, what that means is you can get a picture of this, get it so it looks like it's cropped properly, rotate it, and then it's ready for social media. A lot of people like posting on social media with their portrait images and having to crop them. You won't have to do that. And it puts it in a high resolution mode, full size, rotated 90 degrees. So new stickers been added. Obviously, under the text tab, there's stickers containing character information can now be rotated as well. So you can rotate all of that stuff, as you would imagine. The patch logo frame has been updated with 7.3 logo. And the following categories have been added to G-Pose, effect settings, and general settings. So as you can see, there are other buttons and modes there on the side. So if you're wondering what those buttons are. The following category names have been changed. So general settings is now camera. Effect and frame settings is screen settings. Makes sense. An option to face the camera when group pose is activated has been added. You can now toggle the setting added in 7.1 that determines whether camera tilt and pan movements follow the screen orientation or remain fixed when the camera is roll rotated. This option can be found under General Settings in G-Pose menu. Depth of field can now be enabled for group pose and the idling camera, even when disabled under Graphic Settings in the System Config menu. So that's for Windows and Mac only. This feature is enabled for PS5, for Xbox Series X and S automatically. So we get the option, you don't. The following adjustments have been made to the jog effect. So this is interesting. So jog, so you sprint, and then after sprint runs out, you get jog, right? A permanent speed buff for you moving around. Jog will now be removed when participating in the Slices Right and Crystalline conflict. So yeah, they don't want that extra speed to be used there. People were using it in Slices Right. Yeah, you can imagine. Yeah, you can imagine. Jog will now be removed upon gaining the transporting status effect. So when you're picking up a box, for example, it says previously, while the effect of jog was not active during transporting, its status icon would still display. This has been addressed, and the icon will now also be removed as intended. Good. When inside a deep dungeon, jog will now be removed when afflicted with the sprint penalty status effect. So yeah, the actual sprint penalty is actually going to work now in deep dungeons. Kind of important. A glamours button's been added to the window displayed when examining player equipment, which is really interesting. So that means that essentially when you are trying to inspect somebody and figure out what glamour they're using, usually you have to highlight your mouse over the headpiece, for example, and it waits a few seconds before it tells you what it actually has appeared as or what it originally was. Now you can just inspect them. You can press the glamours button and it will show you all of their glamour. So you can take a screenshot or something. Very useful. Yeah, nice. Good addition. The following adjustments have been made to the blacklist. It says, while measures were implemented in 7.2 to make it more difficult to confirm or reference portions of character IDs not normally visible during gameplay, further adjustments have been made in 7.3. As a result, certain locally stored client data will reset. We apologize for any inconvenience they say caused and ask for your understanding as we introduce these measures. So, blacklist comments saved between 7.0 and 7.2 have been deleted, so you won't have any of your comments. All information registered on the mute list has also been deleted. It says, following adjustments made in 7.3, the mute list information will now be registered on a per character basis. So that's that to bear in mind. The blacklist registration for players on your contact list is now only possible while you remain logged in. So that's what's changed with Blacklist, trying to make it so that people don't go all weird with stupid third-party crap, which apparently the community does. So there we go. You can now adjust the transparency of the chat prompt. This setting can be found under Log Window Settings in the Character Config menu. That's pretty good. Nice transparency options. An automatic option has been added to the character and object quantity settings under display limits. All player settings will be uniformly switched to automatic upon the release of 7.3. Moreover, automatic will be the new default for the feature. On Windows and Mac, this setting can be adjusted under the other settings in the system config menu, which is slightly annoying. I kind of want that to stay at maximum. Automatic, I don't care about. You know, we pay money on a PC for a nice big chunky graphics card that can handle this stuff. I want it to be where it was. So just a PSA, if you go, why are characters disappearing? Why are object quantity looking a little bit low? It's because they reset it in 7.3, so you can fix that back on PC. The following options have been added to system config. So on display limits, we've got maximum, extended, and normal on the character display range. And we also have the other settings, display limits. We've got automatic, maximum, high, normal, low, and minimum. And on character configuration menu, we've got under the display name settings, we've got the general tab for enemy settings, display progress bar. So that's the cast bar for those big bosses, powerful foes in dungeons and stuff. So you can see that. You can disable it there. And we've also got chat prompt transparency, your chat bubble settings, log filters and announcements under the general tab of the log window settings. As you can see, we've got the shortcut for the Viera hiding of ears If you don't want to press the subcommand on the visor command, it's /Viera ears or /Veers, VEARS, which is great to hide ears or display them. And it is /pen, which is to scroll down some notes with a quill pen. It does not say if it's persistent or not, and I really hope it's a looped emote. Additions have been made to the auto-translation dictionary, obviously, new trophies, new achievements for Xbox Series X and S, PS, and new music, sound effects, voices, and a log message displayed when a character who has used a file of Fantasia attempts to edit their appearance without first removing their gear has also been adjusted. And finally, the following additions and adjustments have been made to the launcher with new backgrounds. Newly added backgrounds are unlocked after completing the main scenario quest Endwalker. So I currently have Ishtola as my background for my launcher. It'll be interesting to see what new ones there are. They've also added a link to their Blue Sky official account for 14 on the launcher, and the location of temporary folder for patch downloads has been changed on Windows and Mac, whatever that means. So yeah, that's pretty much all of the notes. That was quite a lot. I do apologize for the length of the video, but TLDR, lots of cool stuff. Very excited for the Alliance raid. Very excited for quality of life changes. And they went pretty hard on improving the quality of gear and also adding double die palettes as well for a lot of gear. We got some gender unlocks. We got some fantastic new fashion accessories, new face wear, lots of new minions, mounts, collectibles. It's my kind of patch. I'm looking forward most, I think, in this patch specifically. For 7.3, I'm looking forward to mostly the treasure map dungeon. I think that's going to be the most exciting. And the PvP, although if this is the rank 25 armor, yeah, I'm probably going to take it pretty slow, dude. But yeah, either way, let me know what you think about 7.3. And like I say, very long video. Thank you for watching that. If you have made it to the end, leave me a nice comment or something saying I'm a potato. I don't know. More videos on the way. Of course, next week will be heavy. We have live streams for this game. Nearly daily, I think, after the first day of patch day, and we're going to cover everything we physically can, everything that got changed, everything that got added to the game. We're going to try and unlock as much as possible, and anything we can't unlock immediately, we will stream and then make videos. So there we go. Much love, enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you all next time. Bye bye.